What if I told you that much of what you've learned about achieving your dreams is for the most part wrong? Wishing hard, praying, visualizing, repeating affirmations, all of that has value, but on its own, it doesn't move the gears. Controversial? Perhaps. But think with me, if it were really that simple, you would already be living the exact reality you long for. There is a hidden code, a key that goes far beyond wanting. Here's the paradox. The more you chase, the more life seems to slip through your fingers. It's like holding sand in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it falls away. Reality does not respond to your request. It responds to the signal you emit, not to your word, but to the vibration sustained by your body, your mind, and your emotions. And within this lies a simple truth, at once subtle and profoundly transformative. Today, I want to guide you gently through this territory. No rush, no noise, no anxiety for immediate results. Let's breathe together and observe the small choices you make without even noticing. You will discover the quantum code, how it quietly moves within each gesture, and how to apply it in practical ways. Small shifts that ignite effects almost immediately in your world. Before any technique, allow yourself a moment of presence. Settle your shoulders, relax your brow, unclench your jaw. Feel your feet on the ground, the breath flowing in and out, and let your body take the posture of someone who already is. This is the first micro-act, an inner adjustment that changes the music you transmit. Notice, something has already begun to reorganize. And for this key to truly turn, I need to show you where almost everyone stumbles. It's a subtle mistake repeated in silence that sabotages even sincere intentions. Perhaps you've fallen into it, many times, without realizing. When you see this clearly, everything else will make sense. Let's open this door together in the next step. Reality is like a silent mirror. It doesn't reflect what you merely wish to see, but what you truly show to it. If someone stands before a mirror with fear, tension, or contraction on their face, that is exactly what will be reflected back. But when the posture softens, when a smile arises, the reflection transforms immediately. Simple, and yet profound. Life always gives back exactly what you offer. When you projected financial fear, you may not have realized you were unconsciously sending the world a message of scarcity. Each worry about bills, each anxious thought about tomorrow worked like an invisible command. And reality, ever faithful, simply confirmed it in the form of situations, people, and events that reinforce the same vibration. It wasn't bad luck. It was just the mirror reflecting your inner state. It's like walking into a bright room but pointing your flashlight only toward the darkest corner. Over time, you begin to believe everything around you is shadowed, but the room was never dark. It was only your focus that was limited. Life works the same way. The more contraction you project, the more contraction you receive. And this is where many remain stuck, unaware that they can change the direction of the light they carry within. The mirror of reality never judges, never criticizes. It simply reflects. When you offer gratitude, it responds with abundance. When you offer fear, it responds with obstacles. It is a constant reflection, perfect in its precision. And when this is understood, you begin to realize that the key is not outside but within. In the invisible gestures, in the silent thoughts, in the emotions that may seem small, but are capable of creating entire worlds. And here lies the subtlety. The mirror is in no hurry. It waits patiently for your next movement, your next look, the next signal you will emit. And every inner adjustment already creates new ripples that sooner or later return. This is the first glimpse of the code. To understand that reality does not need to change for you. It is you who must change the way you show yourself to it. And this opens the way for the next step on this journey. One of the greatest misconceptions people fall into is believing that simply desiring something is enough to change reality. They tell themselves every day, "I want financial freedom. I want true love." Yet deep inside, they continue vibrating scarcity, loneliness, and fear. That desire becomes nothing more than an empty echo because behind the words, the energy remains misaligned. It's like the old knobbed radio, the kind you had to turn carefully until the signal aligned perfectly. You can raise the volume to the maximum, play the same station all day long, but if the frequency is off, all you'll hear is static. Life works the same way. No matter how loudly you insist, shout, or want, if the tuning isn't aligned, the mirror of reality cannot reflect anything different. In my own journey, I lived through moments when my desire for prosperity was so intense that it seemed impossible not to manifest. But inside, there was a mix of fear of failure, insecurity with each step, and anxiety for quick results. The desire was present, but the frequency was another. The heart whispered one thing, the mind screamed another, and the body responded with contraction. The most common mistake lies right here, believing that the force of wanting is enough. But reality does not read your desire, it reads your vibration. It is as if the universe were asking, "What song are you really playing?" And often, the melody that echoes is not the same as the one your lips pronounce. This dissonance creates frustration, as if nothing were working, when in truth it is only the internal signal that is out of tune. Here's the subtlety. True change doesn't come from wanting harder, but from aligning body, mind, and emotion to vibrate in the tone of what you already desire. When this happens, there is no struggle, only resonance. And it is exactly here that the code begins to reveal itself, showing that the key is not in the desire itself, but in the state that sustains it. And this discovery opens the space for the next revelation. The turning point comes when you realize that what truly shapes reality is not pretty words or scattered thoughts, but the dominant signal that body, mind, and emotion emit together. It's like an orchestra. It doesn't matter if the violin plays in perfect tune if the piano is out of key. The symphony of life only arises when all the instruments vibrate in harmony, on the same note. You can repeat every day, "I am abundant." But if, in the moment of paying a bill, your body contracts, that contraction speaks louder than the rehearsed phrase. Life does not respond to what you say. It responds to your inner state. That mismatch between word and feeling creates a vibrational short circuit, and the mirror of reality faithfully returns that confused mixture. It was only when I realized that repeating affirmations wasn't enough that things began to make sense. I remember affirming with firmness, but feeling my chest tight with anxiety, as if I were trying to convince myself of something I didn't truly believe. That was the clear sign that something deeper needed transformation, not the words, but the vibration. The code began to reveal itself the moment I understood that changing words was not enough. I had to change the state of being. When body, mind, and emotion align, a silent force arises that alters everything around you. That's when reality stops resisting and begins to respond. Not because you shouted louder, but because you finally played the right melody. And the most surprising thing is this: once the key turns, no great effort is required. Life itself starts to reorganize to match the new frequency. People shift, situations realign, opportunities appear, and then you understand. The code was never outside. It was inside you all along, waiting to be remembered. And this awakening opens the way to breaking free from the old self. The subconscious is like a silent autopilot that governs almost everything in our lives. Studies show it directs about 95% of our daily actions. It doesn't ask if you want to change, doesn't question if this still serves you. It simply repeats what has already been recorded. Like a scratched record, it insists on playing the same melody. This repetition creates the illusion that life never moves forward, when in reality, it is just the mind replaying old programs. Imagine a narrow trail in the forest. At first, almost no path exists, but each time you walk through, the grass bends, the ground marks, the passage clears. The more you repeat, the easier the trail becomes. The subconscious works exactly like this. Every reaction of fear, every outburst of anger, every thought of scarcity opens deeper trails until the body itself learns to walk them without you noticing. In my own journey, this revealed itself as emotional patterns that seemed endless. Relationships always ending the same way. Jobs that looked different at first, but always led to the same frustrations. It was as if I were trapped in an invisible maze, where every door opened only to lead me back to the starting point. It wasn't bad luck. It was simply the subconscious replaying its most familiar tracks. And the most curious part is that these loops are so familiar, they almost feel comfortable. Even when they bring pain, they give a false sense of security, simply because they are known. It's as if the mind whispered, "I prefer the suffering I know to the freedom I have never experienced." This invisible prison is one of the greatest barriers to transformation. Breaking this cycle requires awareness. It means stopping for a moment, seeing the beaten path, and with courage, choosing to open a new trail, even if it is narrow, uncertain, and dimly lit. This is the beginning of true liberation, realizing it is not life that insists on repeating, but the old self insisting on walking the same roads. And here arises the opportunity to change the route and write a new story. Embodiment means living today as who you already are, instead of waiting for external circumstances to change before acting differently. It's like putting on new clothes before the party even begins. You already feel in your body the vibration of what you wish to experience. It's not play acting, not pretending, but aligning behavior, thought, and emotion with the potential already alive within you. In practice, abundance is not measured by your bank balance alone. It shows itself in the way you make each choice. Spending with confidence, without that hidden tightness in your chest, is already a sign of abundance. In love, embodiment is opening your heart, even when the impulse is to close it in fear. In health, it is treating your body as if it is already healing, creating the inner environment where recovery can flourish. In my journey, it was the small choices that made all the difference. Rising from bed with the posture of someone who has already won, giving thanks for a simple meal as if it were a feast, walking down the street carrying within me a good secret. These seemingly small actions began to shift my vibration long before any external evidence arrived. And what's fascinating is that at first the mind resists. It says, "But it hasn't happened yet. How can I act as if it's already real?" And this is exactly where embodiment reveals its strength. It's not about denying present reality, but consciously choosing which reality you will tune into. It is an act of faith, but also of vibrational science. What you embody sooner or later becomes manifest. These conscious enactments are like seeds planted in the field of reality. At first they look fragile, almost invisible, but with repetition, they take root and begin to bloom into concrete experiences. This is the power of the code in action, transforming each everyday gesture into a silent key that opens doors to the life that already exists in potential, waiting only to be lived. Many believe transformation only happens in great leaps, as if a miracle or radical change were needed for life to truly reorganize. But the truth is different. The portals to new realities open through daily micro-acts. Life is like a massive vault, and surprisingly, the key that unlocks it is tiny. Small gestures repeated consistently reprogram old patterns and create new possibilities. It's not about waiting for a magical breakthrough to fall from the sky. The power lies in the details chosen with consciousness. A deep breath in the midst of anxiety already shifts the inner state. A smile offered when the instinct is to close down already changes the frequency. Small decisions, drinking water mindfully, turning off the phone to truly listen to someone, act as secret codes rewriting the program of life. In my own path, it was these micro-acts that made all the difference. They weren't in big achievements or moments of spotlight, but in choosing calm during conflict, or simply walking slower to feel the warmth of the sun on my face. These details, repeated day after day, were like pressing hidden keys, each one opening a door that had once been invisible. It's interesting how the ego always seeks spectacle, the extraordinary, the grandiose. It believes only something immense can bring true transformation. But the universe doesn't work that way. It moves in subtleties, in gestures that seem almost invisible, yet like steady drops of water, they shape the hardest stone. The secret lies in the silent repetition that creates a new vibrational pattern. And it is in this delicate, continuous rhythm that the key keeps turning. Each micro-act is like a message to the universe. I am choosing differently. I am tuning myself in another way. And without realizing it, reality begins to open, revealing paths that once seemed closed. This is the power of small choices, opening portals to something greater, effortlessly, through the constancy of alignment. Gratitude is like an energetic signature. It is the invisible seal of someone who already possesses what they desire. It's not just repeating the word thank you, but feeling in the body, in the heart, in the breath, that the gift has already arrived, even before it materializes. When someone gives thanks for something simple, for the breath itself, or for a morning cup of coffee, they are sending life a clear message. I already live in abundance. It functions like a password. Without gratitude, the code does not confirm. You may repeat affirmations, visualize daily, fill your mind with images, but if you do not vibrate genuine recognition for what you already have, reality remains locked. Gratitude is the key that authenticates the request, the final click that opens the vault. Simple, yet profoundly transformative. In my experience, it was only when I began to give thanks for the small victories that doors started opening in unexpected ways. A contract that once seemed distant suddenly materialized. A friendship that had grown quiet became strong again. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere, but nothing ever came from nowhere. It flowed because my vibration already carried the right password. And the beauty is this: the more you give thanks, the more reasons life finds to give back. Gratitude creates a virtuous cycle. It sustains the higher frequency even when external circumstances still appear small. It is like watering a plant. At first, growth is invisible, but with care and consistency, the green eventually blooms. Reality responds the same way when nurtured with recognition. Gratitude is not just a spiritual practice. It is a way of living. It is waking in the morning and before opening your eyes, feeling the privilege of being alive. It is looking at something simple and seeing greatness. This posture sustains the code, because it is not enough to just discover it. It must be kept alive. And it is precisely in gratitude that the code finds its firmest foundation, preparing the heart to receive more and more. Now that you know the code, the great question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it sleep as just a good idea, or will you put it into practice, turning each micro-act into a key capable of reprogramming your reality? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine, what would your life look like if starting today you lived with the posture of someone who had already achieved what they seek? Be honest with yourself. In which areas are you still vibrating scarcity, fear, or contraction? Perhaps in your finances, perhaps in your relationships, perhaps in how you treat your body. Where could you apply embodiment tomorrow? Maybe in a difficult conversation, choosing calm over reaction. Maybe in a gesture of trust when your mind insists on doubting, or maybe simply by giving sincere thanks for what is already in your hands. These questions are not theoretical. They are practical invitations. Each answer you give opens invisible doors, doors that only you can cross. Transformation will not come from outside, nor from chance. It moves the moment you decide to live in resonance with what already exists within you. And remember, the universe always responds to the dominant signal. The more you practice, the stronger this code becomes, and the more natural it feels. Soon, living in abundance, in love, in health, ceases to be effort and becomes your natural frequency. That's when reality begins to bend toward what you emit, returning experiences aligned with your new state. Before you leave, I want to invite you to take the next step in this journey. Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and keep diving deeper into this wisdom that can align your energy with the life you deserve. Because the code is already here. It always was, simply waiting for you to turn the key and choose to step through the door.